Dark and Mysterious Journal. Alright, so last week we looked at a couple of really simple pockets which can be used in many different ways. We looked at this little ephemera keeper, or you could put little journaling cards or anything you like in there really. And the other one is, here we go, a little pocket based on a gatefold card. We have two little pockets in the front, and then inside is another pocket and some journal cards. Now this is made with an offcut of scrapbook paper actually, although it's quite a thick, I would say it's more card than paper. And this week I'm going to show you something else to do. This week I'm going to show you something else with the same scrapbook paper, and it's going to be another simple element that can go in your junk journal, which can be used in a variety of ways. Now, really simple. Start off with a rectangle of card, and this one measures around about 7 inches by 5, so it's about the same as the piece that I started off with last week and made the gatefold card. But this week, instead of making a gatefold card, I'm going to take the bottom of the card and fold up, leaving round about 1 inch at the top there. I've just noticed that's not quite straight. So before I do anything else, I'm just going to straighten that edge up. I have a real inability to cut things straight, it seems. There we go, that's better. So you're going to fold up, leaving about 1 inch, and fold that down. Now, as you can see, I've put a little notch in here already. That's completely optional, it's entirely up to you. It kind of depends what you're going to do with it. Now, you could keep this as it is, glue down the sides here, and you've got yourself a little envelope pocket to pop things in, like this. And you could put that in your journal, you could pop it behind a belly band, in a pocket, you could do anything with that. But I'm going to do something slightly different with this today. I was in one of our local op shops this week, and I managed to pick up this little pad. You can see it was 50 cents. This little pad with these pieces of paper on, and it just so happens that these are just the right size to go in here. So what I'm going to do is to make this into more of a sort of a notebook, if you like, but one that the pages can be taken out of. So I'm going to put these in like this. And what I'm going to do is to fix those in there with a little safety pin. And these little gold pins fit with the theme of my journal. I've got them in other places as well. But I want these pieces of paper to be able to come out. I want them sort of hidden like this. Okay. Now before I do that, I want to make it just a little bit more interesting. And I've got this gorgeous cat picture here, and I want to put this in the back, so I'm going to need to trim this down slightly. So I'm going to do that on my paper trimmer, because as I said, I am not the world's best at cutting straight lines. Ooh. See if that's enough. Lovely, so that's going to fit there. Before I stick that down, I'm just going to go around the edges just to take the white off that you can see, because this is a printable. I've just printed out onto some white card. There we go. Now this is card, so I'm going to use my slightly stronger glue. There we are. And I have another little offcut of this. And just so that I'm using things up, I'm going to pop a little notch in there, the same as to match this. And I'm going to pop that there. Before I do, I want something else in here. Again, have a quick look. Okay, I've dug out this piece of gel print, which I think might look quite cool. I don't know whether it actually goes with that pocket though. So what I might do is use that somewhere else and make a little black pocket. So don't forget, this is going to be covered up. This is just a little sort of surprise at the back, really. The other thing I have is another gel print. Is this one, which has got more of the gold in. If I turn it round, I could use that bit there. Let's cut this and see what happens. Alright, I've cut that to size. I'm quite liking that there. I like the idea that you sort of open this up and you're greeted with all this colour. I'm just going to get rid of that little bit of white that I can see there. This is a gel print made using Pearlex powders actually, and I'll link a video in the top corner, one of my recent ones, if you want to see how this is made. It's just pulled on some actually quite cheap paper, so I'm just using a glue stick to pop this in. Yeah, I'm wondering, does that look too much? Maybe we'll leave the pocket for now, and we'll come back to it afterwards. Right, let's just have a little bit of that glue. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is to just ink some of the edges of this scrapbook paper. If you watched last week's video, you'll know that it's got, I was saying it's a lovely, quite strong card actually, but it's got a white core, so when you cut it you do see those white edges. There we go. Right, now the pieces of paper have already got holes in them, and what I want is a corresponding hole in this top corner. So let's grab my, what sort of colour? I think probably a nice purple one would go, wouldn't it, with the other things. Now let's have a look where they need to be. Just there. Use a pencil just so that I get that hole in the right place. Sorry, that's really noisy, isn't it? Okie doke. There we go. So very simply, I'm just going to clip those in like that. And then that can fold up and hold them all in. Now, like I was talking about last week, you can close these in any number of ways. And I'm just having a think and deciding what to do. I think what I'm going to do is to do a little circle closure. When I'm doing this kind of closure, I like to layer a couple of circles together just for a bit of added strength. So I'll just stick those together and pull out my brads. Like that one better, it sticks up a little bit more of a dome. So I'm just going to put a small hole. I'm just going to eyeball that. It's not going to go through. There we go. Hole in there, put brad through. Now, that line is the middle. And it's going to need to be in about the middle of that line. Right. There we go. Now I'm going to make sure that my brad pins are going that way, because what I'm going to do is just to use a bit of washi tape. I'm just looking for something suitable. I'll try one of those. I do have a gold one, but it's just very narrow. Alright, might work. Let's have a quick look. That might work. This is actually quite a sticky one. I found some washi tapes that I've bought and not really very sticky at all. I mean, I know they're meant to be movable, but you know. this one has good stick on it. There we go. I like to do that when I'm putting the brads in, because then those ends just don't get caught on anything and it looks better. Right, so how is that going to keep our little envelope closed, I hear you asking? What do I have in my little bag of tricks here? This looks like a bit of embroidery floss, and that will do the trick nicely. So I'm going to take one end and I've put it underneath those little circles. I've just tied it securely and snip that short end off. And then what we're going to do is to wrap that around and bring it around like that. And there we go, that keeps our little envelope closed. Now, if you're sticking this into your journal like this, what you need to do is to take this string around this way before you stick it in, and then you can just bring it up and close it like so. Okay, if you're tucking this under a belly band or into a pocket or a tuck spot, it doesn't really matter. You can have the string any way you like, but if you're sticking it in, you have to remember just to pop that underneath before you attach it into your journal. So let's just add a little bit of something else on the end of this one. Bear with me. Right, as you can see, I've tipped out my little paper beads. You know, and I made these a couple of years ago with my granddaughter one day when she was staying with us, and these are just made from magazine pages, and some, like this one, have been rolled in a little bit of glitter, but most of them are just the colours from the magazines. That's a bit of a funny one. That's a funnel rather than a bead, isn't it? But they're a great fun thing to do with the kids, or on your own actually. Now, I just want a small one. Let's have a look. What have we got? I wonder if that black one's a bit big. Let's have a go, let's see. And this just makes it easier to pop this down the centre of those beads. Now, there's loads of tutorials for making these beads online. You just look up, probably just look up paper beads, I think, and you'll find them. Ah, yeah, that's not too big. Still going to give us enough to twiddle round. Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to tie a couple of knots in here. Now, you could put a little bead or anything you like on, but what I'm going to do is to just put a little blob of my strong glue on that knot, making sure it's covered, and I'm just going to slide it. Ooh, I'll slide that knot just inside the bead. Ah, my fingers are gluey. Third time lucky. Right, just inside the bead, and I'm just going to squeeze the end for a minute, and that should dry and fix it there. Alright, let's leave that dry and pop these away. Okay, that's dried up nicely and is now not going to move up and down that string. So I'm just going to trim that off. That can stay like that. And then there is our closure. All right, now let's find somewhere for it in our journal. So I'm going to have a little bit of a tidy up and then come back and find a page for this to go into. All right, I've had a little bit of a tidy up on my desk. Now I'm working on this second signature in my journal at the moment. Let's have a look through. Well, that's a blank page, okay. I think it might be quite nice there. We've got some, actually yes, because there's another one of those little safety pins holding those tags together, and I don't know whether you can see on the camera, but there's actually a little bit of gold in here as well. Alright, so I do want something on that page before that goes in. Let me have a little think. Right, and I'll be back. Anything too much that's going to detract from this, but I do just want to take the plainness off that page. And this is a technique you would have seen me using last week if you watched the Dark and Mysterious video last week. So I'm just going to take that page out because I can, and it makes it easier. And I've got a script stencil here, and I'm literally, wrong blending brush, hang on. That's better, knew it had a black handle. And how do I want the alchemy across the top? There and that there, you know, maybe I do. So I'm going to use the stencil. We're going to have the word alchemy across the top, and then a little bit of script in there as well. In fact, let's just have a look. Okay, yep, I am going to put some script in. Yeah, I think that is probably enough. Yep, there we are. That's just added a little bit of interest in. And this is a technique I use quite often in my scrapbooking, in my junk journals. Is just to give a little bit of interest without detracting from the main element on the page. Alright, so I'm going to glue this one in. So as I say, I've made sure that my string is coming round the back first. And I'm going to use my strong glue. Now the area where that paper clip is, I'm not going to glue the corner bit here. I'm just going to leave that free so that the paper clip can, the pen can move around. I'm going to try and centre that roughly on the page. And I have glue everywhere. It does dry clear, fortunately, this one. There we go. So let's pop that back into, these have come out, pop this back into these have come from the other side, pop them back in. There we are. So there's another page done, and another very simple 7x5 piece of scrapbook paper, and you could decorate this in multiple ways. You could put a pocket inside, you could use it as one big envelope pocket, whatever takes your fancy. And if your card is plain, you can decorate the outside as well as the inside. So there you go, folks. I hope that's been inspirational. If you like what you see, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. That way other people get to see my videos as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Ka kite anō.